Next is from Nuno Goncalo, and that's subject to 2 questions. Good afternoon, guys. I have 2 questions. First question. In terms of credibility, what do you guys think about wrestling journalists when instead of trying to give the audience real information about wrestlers or wrestling angles, since they are journalists, they give opinions but treat them as facts? Question number 2. Second question specific to Konnan. Konnan is a former wrestler. How do you see when Dave Meltzer presents himself as a real journalist and demands respect from his peers, fans, and even young wrestlers, but constantly talks against Cornette, a veteran of the wrestling business who is one of the greatest managers ever, paid his dues, has a passion for wrestling like very few people alive, learned from wrestling legends like Dusty, Bobby, Christine Jarrett, Jerry Jarrett, Bill Watts, Ernie Ladd, and was essential in the development of future generations in OVW with the help of Danny Davis and Tom Pritchard, of course, and a guy that Meltzer's friend and defended him many times. I do not think that a professional journalist or commentator should refer to veterans of a sport or whatever activity that he's covering as he is out of touch, it's sad, or only have ideas from 30, 40 years ago just because he disagrees with him in a matter of opinion. And Meltzer's actually a lot older than Jim Cornette. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work. Best regards from Portugal. Before Konnan answers this, I got to make a point. I don't know, does this guy listen to Cornette? Cornette buries Dave. Like, you can't sit there. Why does Dave bury? Because Cornette literally goes on these 30-minute rants burying Dave. But go ahead. That question was specific for you, Cody. But I don't know if I don't even think you listen to a lot of Cornette. But Cornette,
I don't listen to Cornette at all because I just don't have time. I love Cornette because he's hilarious.
Right.
But like I said about Cornette and Bischoff, I wish they'd stop their beefing and be cool. And same thing with Meltzer and him. I don't like to see them beefing. You know what I'm saying? And I've never. It almost sounds from your letter like you're a Cornette fan and you're not a Meltzer fan. That's how it comes off to me. And I was going to answer the same thing as Glenn. Cornette buries him all the time. What do you want him to do? Put him over? So I mean, and I've never seen Dave demand respect from his peers or the fans. Dave's not like that, bro, and I do know him.
Right. Let me. And this is in terms of this is a question too, but the first question, and I think it's a broader answer here. The question was again in terms of credibility. What do you guys think about wrestling journalists when instead of trying to give the audience real information about wrestlers or wrestling angles, since they are journalists, to give opinions but treat them as facts? Dude, look at any journalism these days. It's the exact same thing going on CNN, Washington Post, New York. Bro, these journalists are getting like the wrestling journalists are getting ripped. Our journalists are getting ripped in real life. Did you see the story about this Taylor Lorenz, that chick from that docs the girl from Libs of TikTok, and like she did the exact same thing. Like if she complained, people. Okay, so Taylor Lorenz is a Washington Post journalist, if you want to call her that, and she's constantly like getting caught posting things that need to be edited.
Right.
Like the edit, and stuff because she's doing the same thing that wrestling journalists do.
She's giving her opinion.
Giving her opinion, and she gets stuff wrong and stuff. And you see that across the board. Okay, now I, as an intelligent person, are very clear-minded when media is when I consume media. Like I'm not reading something, and especially these days, you used to watch the news and things would happen, and they tell you what happened, and bro, like if you watch like local news these days. Local news is kind of like old school news, sort of. It's kind of more to the point. They tell you what happened. It's a shorter version. It's only on for like a half hour, and they got to get everything in, so they don't have time for the editorial privilege to explain everything. Right? It's kind of short and sweet. Every other media I consume or watch, like I have enough like resources to investigate these things myself and see if they're true. You know what I'm saying? But especially like when something happens like what happened with the MJF thing, and all these guys reported stuff that was inaccurate, and stuff, and they're, I mean, it is what it is. This is the same thing is happening in other media. This is like if you think this is specific to professional wrestling, you watch too much professional wrestling, because this is like par for the course these days. And these people are like a lot of these. If you're looking like to like these editorial boards, right? And you look at the bios of some of the people that write, and like you read their timelines and stuff. It's like, why would anybody want to listen or read to anything this person has to say? This person comes across as an idiot. That's why I do a lot. Like if I see I read an article and it's like, I'll look at the person's Twitter. I'll look at, God, what a schmuck this guy is. But that's journalism these days. Anybody with a keyboard can put stuff out, and if people read it, you're kind of like a journalist. So. Go ahead.
Well, you know what's weird about this, because I didn't know what the girl's name was, but I do know what you're talking about, is that, when the Washington Post had edited her article so she wouldn't look bad, because they actually edited it, why hasn't this chick been fired or reprimanded? This is twice she's done this.
It's more. She's done things like she complained where people were harassing her, okay, and like she went on TV and cried about it, and then she went and does the exact same thing to people and doesn't understand that it's like hypocritical position. It's like these, like I said, these people. And here's
a problem, because I said this before, but it's worth mentioning. When we were young, and I'm going to say some names that people probably don't even know who the they are, but look them up. But when you had guys, like Walter Cronkite or Harry Reisner, early, what was that guy from 60 Minutes? That was always very controversial. I forgot his name. But anyways, these were all credible journalists that they were willing to say, hey, the United States is pulling the wool over your eyes. What they're telling you about Vietnam isn't true. They were there to inform the public. But the minute that 60 Minutes came on the air and they figured out that they could make ratings through news, that's when this whole culture started, and now it's more important to get views than to get facts correctly. And that's where we're in right now. You don't have hardly any real journalist.
Did Denzel bro, Joe, pull up on, go on YouTube. Yeah. Pull up that little 1 minute Denzel Washington rant on journalism. Like go in the search engine, Denzel Washington on journalism, right? And he sums it up perfectly, right? But I'll let everybody listen to that. Yeah.
I actually said that a year ago. I said it doesn't matter anymore if you're right. It's who's first.
And that's an old clip
said
too.
The same thing a year ago, but I've never seen this before.
Yeah, that's an old clip too. And he's been spot. Like I said, that is spot on. Yeah. He just nailed it right on the head. Perfect. So,
yo, what up? This is Konnan, and I host Keeping It 100. My co-host Disco Inferno. Unfortunately,
well, I'd say you're my co-host.
Listen, every Thursday here on Spreaker, we talk pro wrestling, sports, movies, music, TV, pop culture, and some politics. It's everything the rest of the pro wrestling podcasts are not.
Tune in to hear myself, the superior one, educate and inform.
Tune in to hear me bury Disco.
That's very disrespectful.
Join us every Thursday on Spreaker and keep it 100. Boom!